The adventures continue in Return of the Jedi, the third in the amazingly successful reissue of the Star Wars trilogy, and one of 6 movies we'll be reviewing this week, including a fresh look on the 25th anniversary of The Godfather, which is now going back into re-release. I'm Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times.
And I'm Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune. Our first film is Return of the Jedi, and this is my least favorite of the 3 episodes, but that doesn't make it bad. The others are just a lot better. My problem with the picture, I don't like those fuzzy little Ewoks that conclude the story. What does work, however, early on, is Luke's battle with Jabba the Hutt at the sandpit of that subterranean Venus flytrap called Sarlacc. Some restorative work has been done on this scene, and it's a good one. Still dazzling much later is when Luke and Princess Leia are chased by Imperial stormtroopers on airborne speeders.
Keep on that one, I'll take these 2.
Of course, Return of the Jedi is the film that has the final confrontation between Luke and Darth Vader, and it's quite dramatic. And you're seeing it in scenes taken from the latest Laserdisc version of the movie.
Your thoughts betray you, Father. I feel the good in you, the conflict.
There is no conflict.
And also from the Laserdisc version, here's the part of the film that doesn't ring my bell. The elfin-like Ewoks who aid the Rebel Alliance and represent the triumph of low-tech good over high-tech evil. It's been said that the success of the Star Wars movies and Jaws turned Hollywood toward a blockbuster mentality. But looking back at all 3 now of the Star Wars pictures, and certainly at Jaws, few of their many imitators had such rich characters as these.
You know, this re-release of Star Wars may shame the Hollywood studios into putting a little more thought into their action spectaculars in summers to come, instead of just blowing stuff up. Because even though the Death Star blows up here, the whole movie doesn't lead up to that, and the movie isn't about the fact that it blows up. Another thing that George Lucas did that was canny is to announce at the beginning that it was a trilogy. Because obviously he would have been under pressure to make this into the latest James Bond series, and we would probably be at number 11 by now. And to finish off with these characters and resolve this story, and now what he's going to do is move to a different point in time for a different trilogy, I think is a very wise move, because I think at this point we've just about finished with these guys.
And where would you rank Jedi? I put it third.
I put it third too. I'd put Empire first.
You got it.
But yet on the other hand, it's in real good company.
You bet.
Okay, next movie. Our next movie is a love story set in a world we don't often see in the movies, the world of African-American writers and artists, middle-class intellectuals. Love Jones stars Lorenz Tate as a Chicago novelist and Neil Long as a fashion photographer who meet one night at a poetry slam in a nightclub. He reads her a love poem across the smoky room, and there's chemistry, but she leaves alone. Later, he tracks her down.
Persistence.
Be surprised how far it can get you.
There's electricity almost at once, but both of them have been hurt in the past and are wary about moving too fast.
Now, you ain't gonna fake me out, are you? Good. Whew. I tell you, I can't stand to sleep with a woman, and afterwards she just dog you out. You know how y'all do. Don't return any phone calls, play me off in front of your friends like you don't know me, like nothing ever happened.
Through a misunderstanding, they break up, and his friend, played by Bill Bellamy, puts some moves on her.
Wood, what do you want from me?
One dinner.
One dinner.
It ain't algebra, girl. Come on.
The movie has the elements of a conventional movie romance delivered through fresh and original characters.
When people who've been together for a long time say that the romance is gone, what they're really saying is they've exhausted the possibility.
Neil Long and Lorenz Tate are attractive and articulate, and as I watched them playing these roles, I reflected that the first time I saw each of them, they were playing tough inner-city roles. She was in Boys in the Hood, and he was the cold-blooded killer in Menace to Society. Interesting here to see what completely different kinds of people they can also play. I liked Love Jones, and I appreciated it.
I did too, and for exactly those same reasons. You're almost waiting in the conventions of Hollywood, and frankly in the conventions of some independent black filmmakers, to somehow move this into some action arena or something, and it doesn't happen, and it is refreshing, and again, it does satisfy the requirement, which is they sound like people really sound.
They
could be there.
do. There was a scene in this movie, there's a party, it's like Friday or Saturday night, a bunch of friends sitting around in the living room talking smart about things that they're interested in, and as I was listening to it, I thought, this is like a bunch of bright college students or faculty. They're talking about literature, they're talking about ideas, they're talking about the meaning of life. I haven't heard a conversation like that since my dinner with Andre, I don't think.
Yeah, certainly not in the African-American community on film, that's for sure. Coming up next, hot on the heels of the successful reissue of the Star Wars picture, new prints of The Godfather have been struck for its glorious 25th anniversary. Brando, Pacino, Keaton, and Khan are next.
You're taking this very personal. Tom, this is business, and this man is taking it very, very personal.
That's my family, Katie. It's not me.
Oh, but it is him. And there it is, from young and handsome Al Pacino to a barely recognizable Diane Keaton, the key line of dialogue in Francis Coppola's masterpiece, The Godfather, now being reissued next week with a brand new print and sparkling soundtrack in honor of its 25th anniversary. It's the key line because Michael Corleone doesn't know the power of his own family. It's a big part of him, too. The big surprise for me seeing The Godfather again is just how great Al Pacino is in this picture. Marlon Brando, of course, gained the notoriety and the Oscar, but Pacino provides even more glue to hold the story together.
Now, Johnny is my father's godson, and my father went to see this bandit. And he offered him $10,000 to let Johnny go. But the band leader said no. So the next day, my father went to see him, only this time with Luca Brasi. And within an hour, he signed a release for a certified check of $1,000.
How'd he do that?
My father made him an offer he couldn't refuse.
Later, he takes control from his wounded father and replaces the loyal consigliere Tom Hagen. His adopted brother, played magnificently by Robert Duvall.
You're not a wartime consigliere, Tom. Things may get rough with the move we're trying.
Still later, in a great scene, Michael Corleone moves his family's interests from New York to Las Vegas, and he's foolishly put his irresponsible older brother Fredo, the late great John Cazale, in charge. But Fredo, the goof, greets Michael with hookers, and it's a big mistake.
Who are the girls?
That's for you to find out.
Get rid of them, Fredo.
Hey, Mike.
Fredo, I'm here on business. I leave tomorrow, and I get rid of them.
Of course, I can't leave out Marlon Brando. A great moment, his death scene, improvised by Brando himself. The Godfather is glorious drama, high art, and high entertainment, from Gordon Willis's magnificent interior camera work to the perfectly oily performance of the sleazy Mo Green by Alex Rocco, to the unexpected trip to Sicily, where Michael hides out. They got the money to shoot that sequence. We never saw anything like that in a mob picture before. The Godfather is about how justice denied soon becomes justice subverted. That's how the film is opening, with the baker's appeal to the Don. I could talk for hours about the film, but, you know, it's Roger's show, too. You know it's excellent. it's worth another look on the big screen. No new footage, but a beautiful, pristine print available nationwide next Friday.
You know, looking at the film again, and I agree, of course, with everything you've said, I realized how it works, because oddly enough, in this movie, The Godfather represents good. And the Godfather theme is sad because people didn't listen to The Godfather. If they'd only listened to Don Vito, we could have saved all this trouble and all these dead bodies. And the reason they get away with that, it's so brilliant in this story by Mario Puzo and Francis Ford Coppola, it's a sealed system.
Right.
There are no civilians. The only cop you meet is McCluskey. He's crooked.
He's in there.
There are no victims. You don't see any victims of gambling and alcohol and prostitution and then later drugs.
Right.
And the only crime is disloyalty. Right. And so within the sealed moral world of this film, everything works and he's the good guy.
This is the rare case of where a book, and it was a pop culture book, has been transfigured by Coppola into something far greater than that.
Well, now it is pop culture, but I read The Godfather and I couldn't put it down. It's just a heck of a good story.
But you know that this is a greater movie than it is a book.
Well, that goes without saying. When we come back...
I said it.
Well, then you said it. Okay, and I agree. When we come back, Harvey Keitel is a veteran thief in City of Industry.
Go through it again? I'm cool. Fine. Okay. We're in.
Four thieves plan a big jewel heist in Palm Springs in that scene from City of Industry. They're all professionals, but this time they're looking at a very big prize, and maybe they can't trust each other with that much money. Timothy Hutton was the gang leader in that scene, and Harvey Keitel played his older brother. Stephen Dorff is the getaway driver. After the job, he reports on his great luck to his girlfriend.
You're gonna make $1 million?
No. No, we have to divide that into splits.
How much you gonna get?
We'll figure that out later.
After a double cross, Keitel starts searching Los Angeles for Dorff. Here he visits a guy who may or may not be the missing man's lawyer.
Where is he?
I don't know how to help you.
Address, phone number, zip code. Whatever you got, I want it.
You got around that I did that? What kind of criminal law project do you think I'd have?
What do I care?
Next he goes calling on Famke Janssen from GoldenEye. She's the wife of the fourth member of the gang.
You lost?
No.
You look lost.
Jorge Montana live here?
Harvey Keitel is almost always effective in the movies, and he is here too, projecting small details that add up to a character. But the movie is pretty badly put together. There are so many characters and so many plot details that the story loses momentum and coherence, and the director, John Irvin, has a strange habit of switching from day to night when not enough time seems to have passed. A movie like this should absorb us, but City of Industry was constantly distracting me with continuity problems and practical details that didn't seem to add up, not to mention the cast of dozens. I'm afraid the Keitel performance gets lost in the crowd.
I think other performances are noteworthy, too, here. Stephen Dorff has the flashy stud role, and I think he does it well enough. I liked about, I'd say, the first half of this picture. I liked the way it built up, but then I didn't think I was taken to any place special. I mean, once the big assault is made, and then it's simply a man chasing another man, basically.
And just going from place to place and asking questions.
Yes, so that I was
let down.
And
then you get the Chinese gang, and you get the black gang, and what is their relationship to anybody in the movie, and why aren't they paid off? For example, the black gang leader is listening during that conversation. We think he wants a piece of that action. Never followed through on.
I'm differing with you to this degree. The characters as written are interesting characters. Where the story goes in its third act is not important. Coming up next, Troublesome Creek, a Midwestern which compares the battles of today's family farmers to the Western sagas of Hollywood tradition. Our next film is called Troublesome Creek, a Midwestern, a gentle, leisurely paced documentary that calls into question the way banks treat contemporary farmers. Here, filmmaker Jean Jordan talks about her parents' farm.
There's a way that growing up on a farm is like growing up on an island. Civilization feels so far away that your family becomes your world.
But the Jordan family has to sell some of its equipment to enable it to save the farm. It's a tough moment we've seen in fictional films such as Country, but this feels more raw.
A couple of guys started blow-torching a plow into scrap metal on the spot. If there's a book on auction etiquette, I'm sure this is a don't. The last piece to be sold was the combine. We all worried that it wouldn't start in the cold.
Troublesome Creek, which was nominated last year for Best Documentary, has been subtitled A Midwestern, and that's part of the concept, presenting the battle against private banks and public indifference as heroic as any shootout at any movie corral. I really enjoyed Troublesome Creek. Congratulations to filmmakers Jean Jordan and her husband, Stephen Asher. And I think the relaxed way in which the story is told is kind of stunning. It has a drama of its own.
They don't punch up all kinds of real giant villains. They just point out that in its own way, this conglomerate bank doesn't care. And the family is trying their best to hang on and to fight back. And despite all of our talk in this country about private enterprise, it turns out really that enterprise really doesn't care, unless it's big, giant corporate enterprise.
Yes, and again, the way that it's built is quietly, and that is a different style of filmmaking.
That moment when the mother's treasured Ethan Allen dining room table doesn't get as much as she fondly thinks it's worth at the auction. When we come back, one of this year's Academy Award nominees, Mandela.
Free, 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 Nelson Mandela.
Our next film is named Mandela, and it's one of the documentaries nominated for this year's Academy Award. Watching it, I felt a tug-of-war between two conflicting reactions. Of course, I was immensely moved by the story of Nelson Mandela, surely one of the greatest men of this century, who rose from obscure origins to develop such strength of character that he became the obvious leader of South Africa while still imprisoned in a jail cell.
It is useless and futile for us to continue talking peace and non-violence against a government whose reply is only savage attacks on an unarmed and defenseless people.
The tempo picks up in more recent years as a tide of domestic protests and international boycotts leads to South Africa's first truly democratic elections. It's an inspiring story, but Mandela would be a better film if it didn't play like a campaign biography. Nelson Mandela is a great enough man that the film can show him warts and all, I think, without feeling the need to canonize him. There is footage of Mandela and F.W. de Klerk, the South African president he defeated, jointly receiving the Nobel Peace Prize, but the film plays down de Klerk's instrumental role in helping to bring about a peaceful change of government. The world thought for years that South Africa was headed for a bloody civil war, and it took a lot of people to bring it safely to democracy. Nelson Mandela was the key figure, but not the only one.
I had pretty much the same reaction, Roger, because it is kind of Mandela light. I mean, if you really think about it, as journalists, don't you want some questioning here? Don't you want some investigation of the private moments? When was it tough? This period of incarceration, what was that like?
One of the things
I really want a questioner in there.
One of the things the movie makes no mention of is the fact that for the last 5 years of his imprisonment, Mandela was in daily contact with de Klerk. He was taken out of jail. He was meeting with government officials. The government was secretly planning these elections, even while de Klerk's predecessor was saying publicly that he was totally opposed to it. So there was a lot going on other than just the simple boiled-down story in this movie.
This is the kind of thing that kids might see in grade school, and it's a nice introduction, but that's all it is, an introduction, and a better film could be made.
Now let's take another look at the movies we reviewed this week. 2 thumbs up for Return of the Jedi. If you had to rank the Star Wars films, this would come in third, but that still puts it in great company. 2 more thumbs up for Love Jones with Lorenz Tate and Nia Long. Very charismatic and a rare love story between 2 African-American intellectuals. 2 more thumbs up, I guess that goes without saying, for The Godfather, which in its newly minted version is more than ever one of the great American films. 2 thumbs down for City of Industry, which has a good Harvey Keitel performance, and Gene liked some of the other performances, but muddles them all away. And 2 thumbs up for the moving down-home honesty of Troublesome Creek, about a courageous Iowa farm family. And 2 more thumbs up, but with reservations, for Mandela, which would have been better if it had been less like a campaign documentary. So go to see The Godfather, Return of the Jedi, and Love Jones.
Absolutely. What a kick it was to talk about The Godfather again.
And for those of you with access to the World Wide Web, Gene and I will be doing a live online chat session this coming Thursday night, 7 to 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, at our own website, which is www.siskel-ebert.com.
Also, we hope you'll check your local listings beginning this weekend for our annual one-hour special, If We Pick the Winners, in which Roger and I argue about our choices for this year's Oscar race. Next week, we'll be back with reviews of more new movies, including Liar, Liar, starring Jim Carrey.
You're the victim here, driven into the arms of another man.
7.
Yeah, whatever.
As a fast-talking lawyer who's suddenly forced to tell the truth, and also Selena, starring Jennifer Lopez in the screen biography of the tragic pop singer. That's next week, and until then, the balcony is closed.
Rich, buttery toffee, wrapped in smooth milk chocolate. Isn't it time you had a Heath bar? Have a Heath.
Now for a limited time, get a free movie ticket when you buy a specially marked Magnadoodle. Look for details on the package.
Your arthritis pain can't wait. Call now and break through to fast-acting, long-lasting relief with Menthicin.
You have a 30-year mortgage. So shouldn't you have a 30-year faucet? Moen. Buy it for looks. Buy it for life.